In the chapter Nation and Race in Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler says, and I quote, "Every animal mates only with a member of its same species. The titmouse seeks the titmouse, the finch, the stork, and the field mouse, the dormouse, and the wolf, the she-wolf, etc." Unquote. Now, who can find fault with that? It's absolutely true. It's only when you realise that what Hitler was building up to is the important thing. He was building up to the idea that Aryans are the true humans and that Jews and non-Aryans are subhumans, and therefore how can they mate together? So only with the full picture can we understand how fundamental beliefs can translate into real-world behaviour which could affect us at a later date when people like this have the power. So when the Muslim Council in Britain says that they want to work for the betterment of society as a whole, what are we missing here? It's like a jigsaw with only 20% of the parts. The other 80% is what really matters, because that is what affects us. What do they mean by a better society? It's definitions that count. All political groups which seek to advance their cause want to sound broad-based and inclusive. They want to alienate as few people as possible. And so when they identify the various groups in society, they will deliberately structure their speeches and their websites and all statements of a public nature such that those people who they don't really care about actually feel included. And the most dangerous thing in all of this is that most of us really deep down want to hear those positive statements because they make us feel less threatened.
Islam is an anti-Christ religion that intends through violence to conquer the world.
One day you will conquer Rome. One day you will conquer the White House.
Anjem Choudary is the public face of Islamic extremism in Britain.
The problem with all this is that the Quran and the Hadith don't change. The example and the history of Muhammad don't change. And so you get some character like Abu Izzadin or Anjem Choudary coming along and calling all these people at the centre of the bell curve back to true Islam. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody could go to Abu Izzadin, Abu Abdullah, Anjem Choudary and their thugs and simply explain to them in a public way that their version of Islam is wrong. Unfortunately, the problem is their version of Islam is right. When you criticise these people for displaying signs like "May Allah curse the Pope," and you say, "Oh, that's not Islam," well, they'll just go straight to chapter 9, verse 30 in the Quran and say, it exactly is Islam. In fact, it's Quranic Islam. And how dare you as a Muslim go against what the Quran clearly states? If you say to these people that you're just creating trouble, you're going to stir up anger, and you're acting in a warlike way, which is un-Islamic, they'll go straight to the verse before chapter 9, verse 30 to verse 29, which says, "Fight those who do not believe in Allah until they are subjected." So the problem for the moderate Muslim is that they haven't got a leg to stand on. They'll get confronted by the Quran, and then they'll be asked, how dare you, how can you go against what the Quran clearly states? And given that Islam is based on the Quran, and they consider this to be the dictated word of Allah, they haven't got a very strong or compelling argument against the radicals, or the true Muslims, like Chowdhury, Abdullah and Izzuddin.